Yesterday started out like any other at Jake's Diner, the morning rush of caffeine-crazed office-goers, the lunchtime banter with regulars, and the never-ending soundtrack of classic rock humming through the speakers. But, that day the universe had an offbeat adventure planned for me, one that would turn my otherwise predictable shift into a day of incessant humming, unexpected dance-offs, and a spectacle of customer reactions that I'll never forget. The first sign of chaos appeared around lunchtime, just as I was reaching for the volume knob to quell Billy Joel's overly enthusiastic piano. Instead of quieting down, the music system malfunctioned and began to play ABBA's Dancing Queen on loop. A groan erupted from the kitchen, the cooks being more fans of Led Zeppelin than Swedish pop. As much as I tried to fix it, the diner was destined to become a temporary shrine to ABBA. Initially, the relentless replay was merely an annoyance, but as the afternoon unfolded, the tune's infectious rhythm transformed our regular, easygoing environment into a whirlwind of humming and foot-tapping. Even old Mrs. Thompson, a stern-faced octogenarian who never missed her Tuesday lunch, couldn't resist the music. She surprised us all when she rose from her seat and started to dance, smiling like she hadn't in years. What happened next was something straight out of a movie. Mr. Davis, the grumpy tax attorney who often came in to enjoy a solitary cup of coffee, surprisingly challenged Mrs. Thompson to a dance-off. It was like a contagious fever. One after another, customers rose, shrugged off their inhibitions, and danced like nobody was watching. Amidst the joy, however, there was one person who seemed hell-bent on spoiling the fun. Mr. Sullivan, a businessman who always looked as if he'd swallowed a lemon, demanded the music stop immediately. Tensions rose as his usual stern demeanor clashed against the sudden frivolity of the diner. The music, he claimed, was an intolerable disturbance, and he threatened to call the police if it wasn't stopped. Just as the situation threatened to turn ugly, a young girl stepped forward. She couldn't have been more than 7, but her determination was palpable. "Why don't you dance, Mr. Sullivan?" she asked innocently. The diner fell silent, all eyes turned to the frowning man. Something in Mr. Sullivan shifted. It was as if the girl's innocence had pierced through his stern exterior. For a moment, he looked stunned, then his face cracked into a grin. He held out a hand to the girl and together they twirled around the diner, the unlikely pair turning into a grand spectacle that had everyone clapping and cheering. As the sun set, the music system finally decided to behave, and the tunes of ABBA faded away. But the diner remained filled with laughter and reminiscing. No one was in a hurry to leave. The usual din of clattering dishes and murmured conversations was replaced by shared stories of silly dances and uproarious laughter. Even though I was exhausted by the end of it, I found myself humming Dancing Queen as I locked up for the night. It was a day of surprises and joy, a day when my monotonous shift turned into an unforgettable spectacle.